It was a great moment, seeing everyone how huge they have grown here, the level of conversations.
For 8 long years, one of reggae's biggest stars, Buju Banton sat behind bars with the whole world wondering what really happened. Some said he was guilty, others believed he was being silenced. Buju Banton always claimed he was innocent, but was he really? Now, after walking free, he's finally ready to tell his side of the story. Stay tuned, because once you hear what Buju has to say, you might never look at this story the same way again. Mark Myrie, popularly known as Buju Banton, was born on July 15, 1973 in the heart of Kingston, Jamaica. Buju grew up in a tough neighborhood called Salt Lane. Life wasn't easy there, especially as the youngest of 15 children in a big family. His ancestors were Maroons, African warriors who had escaped slavery long ago. These brave men and women fought for their freedom and built their own communities high in Jamaica's mountains. His father, once dreaming of being a singer himself, worked hard doing manual labor at a tile factory to support the family. His mother sold fresh fruits and vegetables at the busy Coronation Market. Together they taught Buju the values of hard work and resilience, lessons that would shape his music and his life. It was Buju's mother who gave him the nickname Buju, a local word for breadfruit in Jamaica. The name Banton was later added in honor of one of his musical heroes, Buju Banton. In August 24, Buju shared something very personal about his heritage. He revealed that through tracing his bloodline, he had discovered his connection to the Igbo people, an ethnic group mostly found in Nigeria. Speaking on the Drink Champs podcast with hosts Inori and DJ EFN, Buju explained that the Maroons of Jamaica, his ancestors, were originally from the Igbo tribe. He said that the Maroons were fierce warriors who fought against British forces and called themselves Black Maroons. In his words, he said, "My generation originated from Nigeria. I am an Igbo man according to my bloodline." As a young boy, Buju Banton was drawn to the music that filled the streets of Kingston. He would often watch his favorite artists perform at outdoor shows and local dance halls in Denham Town. Standing in the crowd, he paid close attention, especially to the rough and powerful style of Buju Banton. Buju didn't just watch, he practiced. He copied Buju's strong vocals and commanding delivery, but over time, he began shaping his own unique voice. By the age of 12, Buju was ready to take the stage himself. He started performing under the name Gargamel and joined local sound systems like Sweet Love and Rambo Mango. It was here that he honed his skills in toasting, a style of talking and chanting rhythmically over music. In 1986, a big opportunity came when fellow DJ Clement Iri introduced him to producer Robert French. The meeting led to Buju's first single, The Ruler, which was released in 1987. At just 14 years old, he was now a recording artist. After that first release, Buju began working with several well-known producers, including Patrick Roberts, Bunny Lee, Winston Riley, and Digital B. During this time, his music leaned heavily toward dancehall. A few years after The Ruler, Buju recorded Stamina Daddy for Winston Riley's Techniques label. The song became a hit and helped launch him into the spotlight. In '91, Buju Banton took an important step in his music career. He joined the Penthouse Records label, run by producer Donovan Germain. Here, he started working closely with another talented producer, Dave Kelly, who would later create his own label called Madhouse Records. This partnership helped shape the next phase of Buju's career. By '92, Buju had become one of the biggest stars in Jamaica. That year, 2 of his songs, Bogle and Love Me Browning, were huge hits across the island. Crowds loved them, and Buju's voice seemed to be everywhere. However, Love Me Browning caused controversy because it focused on Buju's preference for lighter-skinned black women. Many felt the song ignored the beauty of darker-skinned women. In response, Buju recorded another song, Love Black Woman, which celebrated women with dark skin and aimed to balance the message. That same year, an older track from Buju's youth was released again, and this time, it was a song that later sparked international outrage. The song Boom Bye Bye was first recorded in 1988, when Buju was only 15. It was written after a disturbing man-boy assault case in Jamaica, but its lyrics promoted violence against gay people. When the song was re-released in '92, it faced strong criticism worldwide. Even with this controversy, Buju's career was soaring. By the age of 19, he had already made history. He broke the Jamaican record for the most #1 singles in a single year, beating a record once held by the legendary Bob Marley. Throughout that year, Buju's deep and rough voice ruled the airwaves in Jamaica. His debut album, Mr. Mention, captured many of his biggest hits from this period. One standout track was Bonafide Love, a duet with singer Wayne Wonder. It was Wayne Wonder who had first brought Buju onto the stage at Jamaica's famous annual concert, Sting, helping to introduce him to an even wider audience. In '93, Buju Banton signed with the major international label, Mercury Polygram. He immediately released another album titled Voice of Jamaica. The album was powerful and serious, with many songs that spoke about important issues. One track, Deportees, called out Jamaicans living abroad who forgot to support their families back home. Another, Tribal War, created with fellow artists Tony Rebel, Brian and Tony Gold, and Terry Ganzi, condemned political violence, using parts of a classic reggae song to deliver its message. Buju also recorded Willie, Don't Be Silly, encouraging safe sex and the use of condoms. The profits from this song were donated to help children with AIDS. The album made such an impact that Buju was invited to meet Jamaican Prime Minister P.J. Patterson. That year, he also won several awards at the Caribbean Music Awards and the Canadian Music Awards. But life in Kingston was harsh. Many of Buju's lyrics touched on violence, which was a reflection of what young Jamaicans saw around them every day in the news and on the streets. In '93, this violence became very personal to Buju. In separate incidents, 3 of Buju's friends, DJs Panhead and Dirtsman and singer Mickey Simpson, were murdered. The loss of his friends shook him deeply. In '94, after more tragedies in the Jamaican music scene, Buju responded with a powerful song called Murderer. It stood against gun violence, challenging the popular dancehall trend of celebrating guns. The song became an anthem. Its message was so strong that some clubs even stopped playing songs with violent lyrics. Many other artists recorded their own songs inspired by Murderer, helping to change the culture. Later that year, Buju faced another heartbreak with the death of his friend, singer Garnett Silk. These experiences pushed Buju even further on his path of change. It was at this point he decided to embrace the Rastafari faith. He began growing dreadlocks, and his music took on a more spiritual tone. Buju's message and sound now reached beyond Jamaica. He toured Europe and Japan, performing to sold-out crowds. In '95, Buju Banton released one of the most important albums of his career, Till Shiloh. This album marked a new chapter in his life and in his music. It combined live instruments with digital beats and blended the deep, spiritual sounds of roots shigay with the hard-edged dancehall style that had first made him famous. At this point, Buju had fully embraced the Rastafari faith, and his beliefs were clear in his new songs. Till Shiloh carried powerful messages, mixing conscious, thoughtful lyrics with rhythms that could still move the dancehall crowds. The album featured earlier hits like Murderer, along with new standout tracks such as Wanna Be Loved and Untold Stories. In '96, Buju continued to use his music for good causes. He worked with the band Los Pericos to record Wanna Be Loved, Desea Ser Amado for Silencio, Muerte, Red Hot Salatin, an album that raised money and awareness for AIDS prevention. That same year, Buju made another important move. Frustrated with how major labels handled his music, he decided to take control. He started his own record label, Gargamel Music. This gave him the freedom to create music on his own terms and provided a platform to support young, upcoming artists. Through Gargamel, Buju released the single Love Sponge, which became popular both in Jamaica and internationally. Over time, Gargamel Music would grow into a key part of his career, allowing him to release his own productions and nurture fresh talent. In '97, Buju released another major album, Inna Heights. This album helped him reach an even larger global audience. The album featured collaborations with top artists like Barris Hammond and the legendary Toots Hibbert. Both fans and critics praised Buju's vocal performance, and today, more than 20 years later, Inna Heights is still seen as one of his best works. In 2000, Buju Banton continued to expand his musical journey. He signed with Anti Records, a branch of Brett Gurwitz's well-known Epitaph Records, and released the album Unchained Spirit. The album explored many different musical styles and featured guest appearances by top artists like Luciano, Morgan Heritage, Stephen Marley, and even punk band Rancid. Unchained Spirit moved away from the deep roots reggae feel of Till Shiloh and left behind much of the hardcore dancehall style that had made Buju a star in his early years. As the new decade began, Buju's music also took on a more mellow and thoughtful tone. His early, high-energy dancehall style gave way to songs that were more introspective and reflective. In March 2003, he released Friends for Life, an album that leaned heavily on political and social themes. One standout track was Mr. Nine, an anti-gun anthem that became a hit not only in Jamaica's dance halls, but also around the world. The album also focused on the struggles and history of the African diaspora. It included spoken excerpts from Marcus Garvey, a Jamaican leader who fought for the rights of African people everywhere. Then, in 2006, Buju released Too Bad, an album that brought him firmly back to the dancehall scene. This project was more in line with the high-energy style that first built his name. One of the slower tracks on the album, Driver A, became a major hit. The song also helped bring back the classic Taxi rhythm, originally created by legendary producers Sly and Robbie, giving it new life on dance floors across Jamaica and beyond. In 2007, Buju Banton once again found himself at the center of controversy. That year, reports claimed that he and several other reggae artists had signed a pledge called the Reggae Compassionate Act. This pledge was created by the Stop Murder Music campaign, which aimed to stop homophobic messages in music. The act declared that reggae artists should stand for love, respect, and understanding toward all people, and reject sexism, homophobia, and violence. Although the pledge was widely publicized, Buju later said he had not personally agreed to it. Still, at the 2007 Reggae Carafest concert, he avoided performing Boom Bye Bye and other songs that had previously drawn criticism. Despite this, by 2009, gay rights groups in the United States were urging venues not to host Buju's concerts. Despite the controversy, Buju continued to perform. In 2007, he shared the stage with legendary artists Third World and Beres Hammond at the opening ceremony of the Cricket World Cup. In 2009, Buju released an album called Rasta Got Soul. The project was deeply rooted in traditional reggae sounds. Buju had spent 7 years recording the album, working with longtime collaborators Donovan Germain, Stephen Marsden, and Wyclef Jean. With its pure roots reggae style, Rasta Got Soul earned critical praise and secured Buju his 4th Grammy nomination for Best Reggae Album in 2010. But just as things seemed to be reaching a high point, Buju's life took a dramatic turn. In December 2009, he was arrested at his home in Florida. He had become caught up in a complex illegal substance conspiracy, one that had been carefully set up by a paid government informant. After his arrest in December 2009, Buju Banton was held in custody in Miami. U.S. authorities charged him with conspiracy to distribute and possess more than 5 kilograms of illegal substances, a very serious offense. After some time, he was moved to Pinellas County Jail, where he remained while waiting for his trial. In September 2010, Banton finally faced court in Tampa, Florida. The trial lasted 6 days. But in the end, the jury could not agree on a verdict, and the judge declared a mistrial. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence that painted a troubling picture. Audio recordings captured conversations between Banton and a substance dealer who had become a government informant. In these conversations, they talked about the prices, how to transport illegal substances, and the risks involved. The jury also saw video footage showing Banton meeting the informant inside a warehouse controlled by the police. In that video, Banton was seen tasting the substance from a large bag. If you are enjoying this video, appreciate it by giving it a thumbs up. And if you have not subscribed, what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. It all began months earlier when Banton met the informant, Alexander Johnson, on a flight from Spain to Miami. Banton had just finished a European tour. Johnson testified in court that they started talking about illegal substances during the flight. He claimed Banton told him about moving money for traffickers and transporting them between Venezuela and the Caribbean. After the flight, the two exchanged phone numbers and met the next day in Fort Lauderdale. Recordings of that meeting, along with other phone calls and conversations from July through December 2009, were played in court. In one recorded call, Banton asked Johnson if he had contacts who could supply illegal substances. He He also said he was willing to put up money for the deal, but didn't want to handle the illegal substances himself. According to the recordings, Banton explained that his role would only be to provide financing. At the trial, the charges against Banton were serious. He was accused of conspiracy to distribute illegal substances, carrying a gun while trafficking illegal substances, and helping 2 co-defendants possess a firearm during the crime. Over the course of several meetings, Buju Banton and the informant, Alexander Johnson, continued to discuss different ways they might get involved in the trade. These meetings often took place in restaurants. Their conversations covered a wide range of ideas, including selling substances in Europe, having Banton put up money to finance a deal, buying these substances from Colombia and the island of St. Martin, using Johnson's boat to move the illegal substances, and splitting the profits. However, Banton's defense lawyer, David Marcus, argued that these conversations were not serious. He claimed they only happened after the men had been drinking heavily. During cross-examination in court, Marcus told Johnson that he had described Banton talking about things he never actually did. In one recording, the jury heard a casual conversation between Banton and Johnson as they drove together to an undercover police warehouse in Sarasota on December 8th. During the ride, Johnson scolded Banton for smoking, to which Banton replied that he was only smoking herbs. During that same conversation, Banton also complained about the protests from gay rights groups. Some of his U.S. shows had been canceled because of backlash over violent, homophobic lyrics from his earlier music career. He told Johnson that the protests were putting a lot of pressure on him. At another point, Johnson testified that Banton introduced him to a man named Ian Thomas, one of Banton's co-defendants. According to Johnson, Banton said that Thomas had the right contacts to help sell illegal substances. The most damaging piece of evidence came from a video shown to the jury. In the video, Banton, Johnson, Thomas, and an undercover police officer were inside the Sarasota warehouse. The video appeared to show Thomas cutting open a kilo of the substance. Banton was seen leaning in, watching closely. At one point, Thomas handed Banton the knife he had used to cut the illegal substance, and Banton used his finger to taste it. The video also captured Johnson and Thomas negotiating the price and size of a potential shipment. Later, it was revealed that Johnson, the informant, had been paid $50,000 by the government for his work on the case. After months in custody, Banton was finally released on bond in November. After being released on bond, Buju Banton was allowed to perform just one concert before his next trial. This concert took place on January 16, 2011, in Miami and sold out quickly. It was a powerful moment as Banton sang to the crowd, "Be strong, hold a firm meditation. One day things must get better." This show, called Before the Dawn, was his first live performance after spending 11 months in custody. The concert helped raise money to support his legal defense in a case that had already faced a mistrial and serious accusations of juror misconduct. The event brought together many famous musicians and supporters, including DJ Khaled, Sean Paul, Stephen Marley, and Damian Marley. Buju opened the concert with "Close One Yesterday," a song about surviving difficult times. He said, "Don't you go down, keep your head above the water. One day things must get better." The concert ended with a moving performance of Psalms 23, performed with Gramps Morgan, sharing the hopeful words, "Goodness and mercy all my life shall surely follow me, and in Jah's house forevermore my dwelling place must be." Just weeks later, Buju's album, Before the Dawn, won the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album. It was his first Grammy win after 4 previous nominations, but the celebration was bittersweet. On February 20, 2011, the court found Banton guilty of conspiracy to possess and distribute 5 or more kilograms of illegal substances, possession of a firearm during a trafficking crime, and using communication wires to help in trafficking. 4 months after the verdict, Buju Banton was sentenced to 10 years and 1 month in federal prison for the trafficking charges. That same day, back in Jamaica, his music was played non-stop on the radio, especially songs like "Untold Stories" and "Not an Easy Road." Rapper Tony Rebel, a close friend and collaborator, called it a sad day for the young people who looked up to Buju as a role model. Buju Banton's sentencing for a related firearms charge, despite never being found with a gun, was originally set for October 30th, 2012. However, it was postponed after his lawyer requested an investigation into possible juror misconduct. Even though one juror was later found guilty of misconduct, Banton chose to waive his right to appeal. Then, on May 14, 2015, federal prosecutors agreed to drop the firearms charge entirely. After spending 8 years in prison, Buju Banton was finally released on December 7, 2018, from McRae Correctional Institution. Upon his release, he said, "Having survived, I want to share the good news and strength of my music. I just want to continue making music, which I've devoted my life to. I look forward to the opportunity to say a personal thanks to my fans and everyone who supported me." In keeping with tradition, he wore a white robe, a symbol of a cleansed man striving toward a righteous path. Soon after his release, Buju launched the Long Walk to Freedom tour. In March 2019, he performed his first concert since prison at the National Stadium in Kingston, Jamaica. The show drew more than 30,000 people. Throughout the tour, he kept releasing new music, including singles like Bagamouth and False Pretense. In May 20, Country for Sale was released and quickly topped the iTunes Reggae chart within minutes. The song was recorded at Gargamel Music Studio, Donovan Germain's own studio located in the corporate area. Later that year, on November 12th, Buju released his first official music video, Trust, to mark the first anniversary of his release from prison. The track went on to reach #1 on the Billboard Reggae Digital Song Sales chart. In November of that year, Buju Banton announced a new partnership with Jay-Z's Rock Nation. This made him only the second Jamaican reggae artist to be represented by the agency. Around the same time, he released a new music video for his song Steppa. He also revealed that Island Records would handle the distribution of the new music created through this partnership. The following year, on March 20th, 20, Banton and his team took a significant step by officially removing the controversial song Boom Bye Bye from his catalog. They pulled the song from popular streaming services like Apple Music and Spotify. Banton also made it clear that he would never perform the song again. In a statement, he said, "In recent days, there has been a great deal of press coverage about the song Boom Bye Bye from my past, which I long ago stopped performing and removed from any platform that I control or have influence over. I recognize that the song has caused much pain to listeners, as well as to my fans, my family, and myself. After all the adversity we've been through, I am determined to put this song in the past and continue moving forward as an artist and as a man. I affirm once and for all that everyone has the right to live as they so choose. In the words of the great Dennis Brown, love and hate can never be friends. I welcome everyone to my shows in a spirit of peace and love. Please come join me in that same spirit." In the 18 months since his release, Buju Banton rarely spoke about his conviction or the time he spent in jail. When asked, he describes it as an improvised hell that he endured by reading, meditating, and thinking deeply about life, both his own and life in general. He said, "Time and space is relative. You have to shield your mind. And as a man of hope and a man of faith, I can see the world is right there, and I am right there, but can't absent myself from the mundane existence." However, in 20, Buju gave a rare and honest interview on the popular Breakfast Club radio show. During this interview, he shared his thoughts on his imprisonment for illegal substance charges. He claimed that there was collusion between the Jamaican government and the United States that led to his arrest and conviction. On July 20th, during the wide-ranging interview, one of the hosts, Charlemagne Tha God, asked Buju if he believed he was targeted to be silenced. Buju responded by referring to a WikiLeaks report from 2006 that mentioned him. He said, "There was WikiLeaks report that came out from 2006 that said Buju Banton and a bunch of armed men assault a homosexual man in Jamaica, and I got away scot-free, which was the furthest thing from the truth. What really happened was, I had an altercation with a guy who put his mouth the wrong way, and I had to put it back in place. I didn't know his affiliation to any group of homosexuals, and they started using that as an angle, and my government sent a diplomatic attaché to the US Embassy, and I was on the radar from 2006. He went on to say, "All the great men you think of have to go through that persecution, even Christ. They thought they were doing me bad, but my God is the greatest planner." Buju Banton also addressed rumors about him having an addiction habit. He explained, saying, "There are two ways to destroy a man. You go and attack his character first, then you move in for the ultimate kill. Now, with the destroying character, if you put him as a pedophile, you destroy his character, he's done for. Easy kill. You put him as a coke head, then he is done for, cause his word won't be taken to be of any weight. He might be a dope head speaking to you. So, these character assassinations, they come before the ultimate kill shot. In the weeks before Buju's important Long Walk to Freedom concert at the National Stadium in Kingston, March 2019, one of his sons, Marcus Myrie, posted on Instagram criticizing his father. Marcus implied they had a physical fight and called Buju a cokehead. Later, Marcus apologized. Talking about this family conflict, Buju said that the 10 years he spent in prison did affect his relationship with his children. But time helps heal wounds. He said, "He is a principled man, and as far as I remember, I never piss off my son. He pissed me off, and I cannot take any disrespect from him." Buju also explained the role of a father in guiding his children, saying, "As fathers, we have to straighten our children out, cause they are the ones who have to be there tomorrow, and when they have their children, they're gonna see why we were so firm with them. It begins at home." Since then, Buju has continued to release music and work on many collaborations. In January 20, he was featured on the soundtrack for the movie Bad Boys for Life, produced by DJ Khaled. On February 29, 20, Buju Banton produced the Stepha's Redeem through his own Gargamel music label. The project, released under Rock Nation, featured 11 tracks and brought together a mix of artists including Vershawn, Deli Ranks, Agent Sasko, Bling Dog, and General B. A few months later, on June 26, 20, Banton released his 13th studio album, Upside Down 20. This was his first full album in 10 years. It included collaborations with major artists like John Legend, Pharrell, Stefflon Don, and Stephen Marley, showing once again Buju's ability to blend reggae with other styles and attract a global audience. Banton's reach continued to grow even beyond reggae circles. In 21, he appeared on the track Believe What I Say by Kanye West, which was part of West's album Donda. This feature brought Buju's voice to an even wider audience, keeping him connected with new generations of music listeners worldwide. What do you think about this story of Buju Banton? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest content.